Brother lads, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to brand new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. We are back for the Cossy and Glenn podcast with my friend Glenn Kitely, everything Arsenal. And we're talking the first signing of the summer, who is set to be Ben Sesko at Arsenal. Lots of developing stories on Benjamin Sesko in the last 24 hours. But trust me, all those development stories have been positive and they've been very, very good. How are you doing, Glenn? It's an interesting story on Ben Sesko because Arsenal fans are desperate for a striker. Is it got you excited?
I mean, there's other strikers I would have preferred ahead of him, but getting a striker, something that we don't usually do, and getting someone who we don't really have his qualities at Arsenal already, and also what's better than one Benjamin? We already have White. Bring in another, have two.
Yeah, definitely. So Arsenal have had the concerns in the Arsenal fan base, and we are going to make our first signing of the summer, presumably a striker, and that is going to be Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig in Germany. In this video, we're going to be diving into what exactly does Benjamin Sesko bring to Arsenal. How does he compare to the players he's going to either compete with or replace, the likes of Gabriel Martinelli, Leandro Trossard? Where does he play in this Arsenal team that is compact of talent? And there was a time when we thought, probably last season, that Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus and Saka would be the the leading forward line for Arsenal for quite some time. Things have changed very quickly this season. We have seen Kai Havertz introduced to that forward line. He's done well. And we're talking about a new forward to actually team up with Kai Havertz. So there's a lot to dive into. But Glenn, do you think this is a response from Mikel Arteta, looking back at the season he has had? Do you think the signing of a striker first is a bit of a response to his previous campaign?
I think it is because we never really sign strikers. Atta doesn't really sign strikers. Now, we do see why, because at first when he came to Arsenal, he was trying to keep a lot of clean sheets, and that is what helped us win the FA Cup. Now, it has worked. The defense has really worked out for us. It's a couple of reasons. I think he feels like now he's done a lot to the defense, getting Saliba back, Gabriel, Bernard. I think he feels like, okay, the defense is good. Now I have players like Declan Rice who can play every single game. It feels looking good. They need a signing or something like that. But I think he also feels like what I've been always saying the last couple of days. I think he feels like there's not too many positions I can improve on, maybe 3 or something, and one of them is striker, and that is a position that I've not really sorted out, and that is a position that I think now in his mind, considering Kete did not play almost at all the last 3-4 months, I think he feels like, okay, it's time for him to move on. I need something else. And also, yes, whatever I say, in terms of goals, yes, we scored 90 goals, but it could easily have been 100 plus goals. And he maybe feels like, listen, I need to take away a bit of pressure from Saka. You need to take away pressure from Trossard and Martinelli. And on top of that, I feel it's a direct response to maybe Martinelli and Odegaard are not going to score those number of goals like they did 2 seasons ago. So maybe you need something different, because I think if Martinelli scored 15 goals again and Odegaard scored 15 goals again, we may not have gone for a striker.
Yeah, definitely. It's a response in a way that Mikel Arteta has highlighted the importance of having a key goal getter, a key goal scorer in the side. And the interesting thing is that I think he knew about it. I think he knew that Odegaard was not going to give you 15 goals every single campaign, because at times he's dropping deep. He's doing a lot of other things on the pitch. He's still a very influential and very important player. I would name him among my player of the season nominees. I would definitely name him in the team of the season. But you cannot just expect him to go 20 GA every single campaign. And yet the easier option is, because Odegaard is a reliable creator, you can expect at least 20 goal contributions, 20 shot creating actions, every single season. Oh, you'd probably get him, in number 9. Now, Sesko is young. He's just turning 21 today. And it is very different what Arsenal could have promised him in terms of the contract, in terms of the personal terms, which have been agreed according to John Cross, and the player is happy with what has been tabled by Arsenal. So let's dive into what is really the real reason that he has chosen Arsenal over Chelsea, over the Manchester United project, over the Tottenham project, and all these projects. But also, most importantly, why he doesn't stay at Leipzig, because he's got the opportunity. He had the chance to stay at Leipzig for another year, for 2 years. And he has said, if Arsenal can agree a price with RB Leipzig, I am going to be moving over to the Gunners. So you talked about something before we came live, that maybe they've talked about him. They've talked to him about the opportunity of playing every single game. Do you think? Do you think it would be it would be something they mentioned to him, that he's going to be a key player, and he would move ahead of some of the players like Martinelli and the others?
I think it's part of it. Now, your first point first. Now, in terms, I'm not going to be biased at all. In terms of answering a question about him choosing Arsenal ahead of Chelsea or United or whatever, I'm not biased at all, because 4 years ago, that period where we were losing games and nothing was going great at Arsenal, I was asked a couple of questions, and the questions were something like, would you, or would you like to play for Arsenal right now? And I said, no. I'm an Arsenal fan, but at the moment, I would not like to play for Arsenal, because everything is going wrong. I'd prefer playing for Man City or Liverpool and stuff.
The big question many people were asking was, why would he want to come to Arsenal? And whenever we did a story on a player, why would he want to come to Arsenal?
There was no reason at all. And even us as Arsenal fans, we were saying, I wouldn't really want to be in that dressing room right now. Things are a bit poisonous. Now, fast forward 3-4 years later, right now I'm saying, nah, I would like to play for Arsenal because of many various reasons. The coaching, the managing, the players you're going to play with, the culture that we've built. We've now shown it's not one lucky season. We can compete for a second season. We do know we've made mistakes in a couple of cup competitions. Those players know maybe if I go there, those mistakes are not going to happen. There's a trophy coming up. Like I have no doubt in the next 3 years, we'll be looking at these 3 next seasons and we'll be like, okay, we've won the Premier League, we've won the FA Cup, we've won the Carabao Cup. I don't know about the Champions League, but maybe we'll get to a semi-final or something. I would love to add the Champions League there, because when you're the Champions League, it basically adds for you another 2 trophies, Super Cup and Club World Cup, if you can get there. Now, what has he been told in terms of moving to Arsenal? Now, I think at first, obviously, when I'd assume Mata approached him and Eduardo approached him and like, listen, we want you to be our striker next season. We want you to join Arsenal next season. And we think here the difference between us closing this gap. Maybe they said to him, that to him a couple of weeks ago. And maybe he said, listen, no, I don't want to join. You already have Jesus. You already have Martinelli. You already have Trossard. You still have players like Nketiah. Are they going? Are they staying? And maybe they told him, listen, obviously, maybe they didn't just tell him right away, Nketiah is moving away. No. Yeah. They probably tell him, listen, we 180 pages. I'll keep on saying. Everyone says that 115 charges about Man City. I think ours is now 180 pages. I think they probably showed him that and like, listen, yes, there's some games you're not going to start. Some games you're going to make an impact. The videos, I saw those Arsenal internal meetings and stuff. There's always videos and stuff. They probably showed him that, listen, if you're here, this is what you do. If you're here, this is what you do. But I want to play every single day. No, you're not going to play every single game, because against a team like a Southampton, maybe we need this. Against a team like an Ipswich, maybe we need this. Against a Man City, maybe we need this. But you can make an impact off the bench at this various point and this various points. And maybe it's been like, listen, I like the Arsenal project. I like where it's going. I can score goals. I know I'm going to be created for chances. Odegaard has created 100+ chances in all competitions. There's the chances from Saka. There's the chances from Trossard. There's the chances from everyone else pretty much. Even Rice creates chances and all those guys. Even Gabriel's long passes. He's assisted Martinelli a couple of times this season. You're going to get those chances. So all you need to do is to score those goals and you're going to be the difference. Now, that could be the first reason. Obviously, then the other reason is a team like Man City, a team like Man United, have Højlund already. Now, yes, you can argue Arsenal have Jesus, but what you have seen, Jesus is not playing every single day. And, Jesus could get injured. Jesus can play on the wing. I don't think Højlund would play in the wing. He's a central striker completely. And he already knows that Chelsea probably want an Osimhen or player like Jackson's already playing as a central player, and he maybe also knows he's not really going to go and be the main player there. He really already has players like Palmer and stuff. But yes, he might not be the main player at Arsenal, but if you join and he starts scoring 2 goals, 1 goal today, 2 goals tomorrow, and the likes of Odegaard and Saka feel like, okay, we just need to pass this guy the ball, is going to score the goals, you would feel, I think in terms of culture, in terms of the opportunities you're going to get and the kind of trophies you're trying to win the next couple of seasons, I think it's a better project, first of all, in terms of everything, culture, created chances, getting close to the title,
fans and the
the fans. And it's not everything that is asking right now, we want a striker, we want a striker. I think Man United are asking for different position. I think
Yeah.
Chelsea are also kind of asking for different position. Liverpool already have Nunes and those stuff, even though they might want to sell them. But for Arsenal, I think the whole world has been speaking about Arsenal wanting us, needing
Wanna
a
get
striker
right,
the
yeah.
last 2 years. Probably even Sesko has had that before. Now, I've lost the screenshot, but Sesko was asked earlier today. Actually, he was doing an interview for Slovenia, and he was asked, "We've had rumors about you going to Arsenal," and he said, "Well, yeah, they could be true. That would be a dream, and I would love to." So it
Yeah.
looks. That's why I feel like it's already done. So he knows he's happy to join us. So I don't think he'd be excited to join at Chelsea right now ahead of Arsenal. Maybe Pochettino stayed, maybe. And there's a bit of what's the word I'm looking for? We already know what direction Arsenal is going to.
Yeah,
So a
exactly.
team like Man United, you're not sure about the manager. Chelsea, new manager. So Arsenal have a bit of Arsenal must still have some coolness, and they're already just planning to sign players. That's it, not changing managers. Stability. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. There's a lot of stability at Arsenal, and I think there's so many players that I think every player at the moment would love to join this Arsenal project, because especially when you're young, you're looking for an environment that is going to nurture you and groom you for the next half a decade or decade, and then and then you move on. And football is changing, by the way. I think gone are the days when the Arsenals of this world, the Manchester Uniteds of this world, were just grooming centers for Real Madrid and FC Barcelona. I think football has changed, that Man United can go and sign a Paul Pogba from Juventus. Arsenal can go and sign a Declan Rice from West Ham without the thought of selling him to Madrid, because Madrid are not going to pay you 200 million or 300 million for Declan Rice. It's as simple as that. So football has changed, and I think many players will look at this Arsenal project as a project where you can go and further your career, but also get decorated as well. It is something that many Arsenal fans have not seen, including myself. I can talk about so many quality players that have come through at Arsenal, and they've just gone in order for them to win something. Sami Nasri, Robin van Persie, Alexis Sanchez. We can name them. So Ben Sesko definitely is looking at this project at Arsenal, and it's like, this is the project I want to be part of. This is the project I want to play for. Now, in terms of what Arsenal get, it is 45 million that he's rated at, but the release clause is 55. And RB Leipzig are saying, we don't want to really negotiate, this down. We want to keep it at around 55. But there is a lot of optimism that we might see a reduction in the price, especially if the entrance of the player have already agreed personal terms, which they have done. So what do Arsenal get? What do you expect from him? We know that he's not a Luis Suarez, Robert Lewandowski, right? But still, he's got a lot of quality. We talked about him behind the scenes, and we said he's one of those players that we know he's better than many of the strikers we have, right? And we've done a video on Glenn's channel where we've talked about what exactly is Ben Sesko like. Now, many of you have been asking me the profile of the player. So, Glenn, what are your expectations? What do you think we are getting here?
Now, first to add, I think I really admire him because pressure. I'm joining Arsenal right now. There's a lot of pressure.
Sure.
A lot of pressure. So if a player chooses Arsenal right now, you feel like, yeah. So at 45 million, that does not bring him a lot of pressure because it's a cheaper price.
Yeah.
But in terms of pressure of winning trophies, he could easily have said, I'm going to go to Chelsea, new manager, not too much pressure. Let me go there. I'll be a bit comfortable. Another key point you've made is players used to leave Arsenal to win trophies. Now I feel like players want to join Arsenal to win trophies. Now, what he'll bring, right? That's what you and me talked about.
Yeah.
What he'll bring at Arsenal, I think he'll bring something that we don't have. And that is what I'm looking for in a striker. I'm looking for something that we don't already have.
Yeah, sure.
If he has it, and then he also has something else that our other players have, well and good, because he still has some other things that our players have. But if you're bringing someone in directly, literally almost the same completely as Jesus, then I'd be like, that's the same. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I want something completely different. And I feel like what he's bringing is something completely different from what we have. We have the Martinelli pace. We have the wing and Trossard who wants to score goals. I'm so happy got Trossard. I have Modric, by the way, in terms of goals. That's that factor. Yeah. Very, very important.
In terms of general improvement of the team, I think he's done much better, and he would have done much better than Modric.
Yeah, we have a Havertz who can, get in the box and those ghost runs in behind, and all that, or everything that he does, the runs from midfield, and he has a good connection with Odegaard and all that. So what don't we have? We already have goals. Arsenal have scored almost 200 goals the last 2 seasons, so that is there. But there's other things that are missing, and one of them is the runs in behind. It's not too many times now. A couple of seasons ago, when he had Pepe and Aubameyang and Lacazette, Pepe's most of his goals were one-on-ones when he was at Lille. I always said I never really saw Pepe. I don't think we ever saw Pepe one-on-one at Arsenal. Maybe once against Liverpool when he passed Van Dijk. But one-on-one, we never saw it. Even Aubameyang, it was different kinds of finishing, but you'd expect the ball in behind. Now, these days as well, those days we didn't used to create those chances. These days we do. But most of them have missed. And it's not one player. Havertz missed against Liverpool. You said yesterday that you weren't convinced about his finishing against Chelsea. That one-on-one. Trossard missed one. I think it was against Brighton or Wolves. We were 1-0 up and Brighton were trying to score a goal at our place. Saka missed, I think, against Liverpool, went down. Martinelli has missed a lot this season in terms of that. So those chances. Now, can we get a player who's very confident in a one-on-one? He fancies himself. One-on-one, if I get a chance, through ball from Odegaard, I am going to score. Because Odegaard is going to provide for you the chances. Rice is going to provide for you the chances. So one-on-one, what is he going to give us one-on-one? Is he going to go through and, let's say, you're not going to be 10 out of 10, but 8 out of 10, you're going to score that chance. Yes, you're going to miss a couple, but 8 out of 10 times, you're going to score that. And while doing that, how do you get yourself in that position? Strength, physicality is going to, create some space and speed, and use speed and agility as well in terms of that, very quick and strong and physical. We don't really have that. Now, we have each of those things in different players. We might have the pace in Martinelli, we might have the physicality in Havertz, but we don't really have the pace in Havertz. Or we might have the heading ability in Havertz a few times, but even Havertz has missed a few headers, but Jesus has missed a few headers as well. But do they have really the accuracy and the speed? I think Sesko, in terms of an out-and-out striker, he'd bring most of that. I rather have a well-balanced in terms of abilities. When you add a bit of 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, instead of having 100% speed, but it doesn't have the strength or whatever.
I rather play.
I rather divide it like, okay, you have 20% holder play, 20% speed, 20% this, and then 40% finishing. I rather divide like that. I want a striker who has everything, and I feel like he's going to bring that, and that is in terms of through balls. And also the way we play, I heard that at the beginning of last season, Arteta wrote in the dressing room, win games with set pieces. That is what we did last season. And Sesko is going to bring more of that to the team. Headers. We've not really had a striker.
It's quite good in the air.
Very right. Since Giroud, I don't think you've had a striker who can, dominate and head the ball in. Jesus is not that. So Lacazette is not that. Aubameyang is not that. Sesko would bring that for the first time.
When you actually couple him with Kai Havertz, there is something there. I mean, both of them are tall. Both of them are dominant in the air. I don't remember so many goals, by the way, but this season, the goal I remember is Kai Havertz, Brentford, second leg, that winner. I loved that. It was sweet.
Again, another goal that has come from Odegaard's magic, passing the ball to Ben White and then cross and then goal. So now imagine you put in that cross with not only Havertz in the box, but also Sesko, then maybe Rice making another run in behind. So that is very, very dangerous. So it also depends on the way we play, the way what you're trying to do. Because maybe Nketiah is a very good striker for a different team, but right now in our team, it doesn't fit. Maybe
I've said that with Eddie Nketiah, he was created, born, and nurtured, and raised for Crystal Palace.
I think if Nketiah plays 38 games out of 38, he can still pull 15 plus goals in a team.
Yeah, I think he will. I think he will. Imagine him in the Mateta positions that Mateta has been, occupying. I think he would still get some good goals.
Yeah, and maybe if he does that, he gets some confidence. But for the level that we are trying to go and the kind of chances you're getting and all that, maybe it's not the answer. But Sesko, it could be. Now, it's not our first choices, but there's things that he would bring that we don't have. Consistency is another thing. A player is going to score consistently. I don't think we've had. Yes, I think maybe one. Did Trossard score in like 3-4 games in a row? I don't think we've had a player who scored like.
Trossard has scored in 3 games in a row.
What is Saka's? Can you remember any Saka's longest run over the last 2 seasons? Did he score ever 5 goals in a row or 6 goals games in a row?
No, not really. No, not really.
Now, in terms of that, we don't have the consistency in terms of that. Yeah, we have
Yeah.
mixed goal scorers, but in terms of, has he scored 7 games in a row? Wow, that is great. Now,
No, no, no. We don't have that.
Sesko this year, he scored from January to May. He contributed 13 games in a row.
Yeah.
11 goals, 2 assists. So I think
Yeah.
it was only one game that he didn't score out of 13 games. That's a lot. Out of
Yeah.
13 games or 11 games, something like that. That's a lot. So he can bring in consistency as well. Even if you score, strikers are built on goal scoring. If a striker doesn't score, if a goalkeeper doesn't keep a clean sheet, he's not happy. If a striker doesn't score, he's not happy. Now, in our team, I feel like Jesus, after a game, we win 3-0 and he's got an assist, he would be happy. I feel like if Havertz has got an assist and he hasn't scored, he would be happy.
He would be
I
happy,
think basically every single player in our team, maybe apart from Kete, would want to score when he's on the pitch. I think like someone like Sesko would want to score his goal. Even if his 3-0 game is over, I want to score the fourth one. I want to finish with the goal. So the hunger as well and the consistency, he brings that as well.
Very funny that you talk about what he brings, and then you talk, your first point, which I actually loved very much, was the fact that he comes in to bring you that level of consistency and things like the different array of aspects that we don't have in players like Gabriel Jesus and Edin Ketia. I think Mikel Arteta is building a team, and this team and the profiles of players very intentionally. Kai Havertz is a physical player in terms of his height, but also you don't bully him anymore. His confidence is back. Even if you bring in Benjamin Sesko, who is tall, and you have a backline of tall, huge centre backs. You have Ben White, who's a centre back, tall and huge. Then you have, I don't think you can bully Julian Timber unless you are Erling Haaland, even better. Declan Rice is another huge structure. I think Mikel is intentionally trying to build this team to be big, and we've seen Man City build their team a little bit big, and it has actually helped them thrive in very, very physical battles. But the big question, where does he fit in, and how does he compare to the players that he is actually going to find at Arsenal? Because it's going to be very interesting to see who drops out of the starting 11. Trossard has had a magnificent season. Gabriel Martinelli would love to raise his arm and say, hey, that season doesn't define me. This is what I am really all about, right? So, of course, Saka is deemed untouchable. Is he untouchable with a player like Sesko coming in? The big question. So let's compare him to some of the players that he actually finds at Arsenal and where he finds himself in that competition. Let's start off with Gabriel Jesus. Now, for me, with Gabriel Jesus, if Arsenal are playing a 4-3-3 system, I would definitely say Sesko has got to start ahead of him, because what Gabriel Jesus gives us, when I have Odegaard and I have Kai Havertz, in terms of pressing high up the pitch and winning the ball back and relentless chasing for the ball, those two have been absolutely world class this season. What we've not had at Arsenal is what you've talked about: a consistent finisher, a consistent guy that can go 8 games scoring because he's getting the chances, but also a player who can finish 8 times out of 10. So with Gabriel Jesus, where do you think he compares? Because for me, I wouldn't say really clear, because there's some advantages that Gabriel Jesus brings to the team: a fighter, a leader, experience, and the quality of him as a player is sensational. But I would say in a 4-3-3 formation, if I was to choose one striker between them, I think Sesko beats him in terms of being the center forward.
Now, something that, because I'm a big fan of Jesus and I want him to stay, but something that people always ask me is why he doesn't score goals. And if you've noticed, I don't usually say, okay, I want Jesus to stay because he scores for us goals. Yeah, exactly what you've mentioned. I think he brings a lot in terms of that energy in midfield. And a game like Bayern Munich at home, we don't score that second goal without Jesus' intelligence in the box. So that one moment, it can help us. Yes, it can be frustrating sometimes with the dribbling and not shooting like he did against Man City 2 or 3 times at the Etihad. All that. It could be frustrating. Now, if it's just goals that you want and you want someone to score 8 games in a row, I think it would be so hard to see Jesus scoring 8 games in a row. I think it's very, very hard. But someone like a Sesko who was, been able to score goals, and you've seen him doing this past season in terms of goals, if it's just goals you want, he can do that. I 100% agree with you in terms of the pressing and all that. If you have Odegaard and Havertz on the pitch at the same time, I don't think we particularly need Jesus. But if it's a different kind of game that Havertz is not going to play, maybe you can play Jesus there because he's going to do the work for you. Because Jesus is not lazy. I don't think, yes, he'll miss chances, but I don't think, because something we've always said is we can watch a game and say, we've not seen Jesus here. Or we can watch a game and say, okay, today we didn't see Odegaard. I've heard odd people saying that. Or today I didn't see Saka. Today I didn't see Martinelli. I don't think you can ever watch a game and say, today I didn't see Jesus here. You'll always see him. He'll miss a chance or he'll commit a foul or all that. And he has the winning mentality and all that. But if it's just goals you want in 8 games in a row and 8 out of 10 finishing, you're not going to get it in terms of Jesus. So my idea would be like, can we use him on the wing or sometimes a couple of games as a striker, because he's still a striker in nature. He can still score a couple of goals. But when a player is asked, are you a goal scorer? And he says, I don't really see myself as a striker.
Yeah.
Then that is a bit of a worry. I would have loved to win the league with that, because that would have been special. We have a striker who doesn't really want to play as a striker, a left back who doesn't really want to play as a left back, so that would have been something.
The thing with Jesus is, in which kind of games would you like to see him? So if, for example, if this is our fixture list, on Monday we are playing Bournemouth.
Yeah.
On Thursday or Wednesday, actually, we are Champions League team. On Wednesday we are playing Bayern Munich, and then on Sunday we are taking on Aston Villa. Among those 3 opponents, where is Gabriel Jesus playing, and where is Sesko playing for you?
You said Bournemouth, Bayern, and Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Now, for the game that I know you're not going to create many chances, I'm going to play Sesko, because I know if 1 or 2 chances are created, that is the person I want there. So I'd probably say that would be. I actually think it would be Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa. I know what you mean about Bayern, but if you're saying this Bayern from, ideally it would be Bayern Munich, because they're the toughest team there, and you're not going to create too many chances.
But now they have a Vicente company, so we can treat them like Burnley.
I'm going from what I saw last season, because we didn't manage to get a goal against Aston Villa. Now, that Aston Villa game, we created, I think, 3 good chances in the first half. Not that many. It was a Trossard one and maybe another. It's not like we peppered them and had like 30 chances and we missed all of them.
There was a Trossard, a Kai Havertz, and a Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, so 3 chances. So in a game we're not going to get too many chances, because these days I respect Aston Villa quite much. I would play Jesus in there, because also in terms of the energy and the physicality of players like McGinn and all those guys, I wanted Jesus there, because he's not going to get bullied. He's going to, fight with Clash. He's going to fight with whoever is playing at the back. I would want him in that game. In terms of, I understand the Bayern one. I understand the Bayern point in terms of Sesko. Now, the Bayern one, the Aston Villa one is the one I would play. You asked me which one Jesus would play in, which one I'd want Jesus to play in. I would say definitely the Bournemouth one, because I know you're going to create several chances.
Yeah, lots of even if he gets running to, lots of players you can run it to.
So even if he misses 1 chance, I know he's going to get 2 or 3 more, and eventually you're going to score through other players. So even if he misses, it's not going to be a bad day. So I would play him against in the Bournemouth game. In the Bayern one, I would probably still play Sesko at the beginning.
That means that with Gabriel Jesus earning £265,000 a week, it might be time for him to move on, because I don't want to earn 260k a week, and you are waiting for Burnley and Bournemouth.
Because that's what I didn't want people to think. I didn't want people to think that I would play Jesus in the smaller game.
Yeah,
I'm saying, like, because it's still in the bigger games, there's something that he brings. Like I think both games against Man City was good, especially the home one. He played well. He played well in terms of the energy and the experience in such kind of games. He can still do something for us. It's not only the Bournemouth I would play him. I wouldn't mind playing him against a Newcastle, a team that is fighting in the top 6. I wouldn't mind playing him against a Man United. I wouldn't mind him playing against a Chelsea. But the games that it's very tight and it's very chess style, like a Man City, or I don't know, he played well against Man City, but the games where you're going to get 1 or 2 chances if he has Sesko, I would play Sesko against the Man City. But Jesus, like against Liverpool, I've seen him playing very well a couple of games against Liverpool. So it's a very hard one. But just to answer your question directly, I'd play Jesus against Bournemouth, I'd play Sesko against Bayern, and I would play against Aston Villa. It's a tough one, but I'd probably play Jesus. I'd say 2 games. I wouldn't play him in the Bayern one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting debate to have on Gabriel Jesus, but
That's a really good question, by the way. It's very tough.
yeah, it's as more developments come in with his future, we'll have more conversations about him in this summer. Now, we're not going to talk about Benjamin Sesko and Saka. That doesn't really make any sense on the podcast because we know what the answer is. Saka stays in starting 11, and Sesko will not be competing with Saka. But one player that we've got to fear for is Gabriel Martinelli. So Martinelli has not had the best of seasons, and it's a little bit maybe unlucky that we're signing a striker in a season where he's not been on top of his game. But we know what we can do. We know that he's a double figure merchant, and we know that he's one of the most impressive players in the Premier League in terms of direct wingers running at you, but also in terms of finishing. Sesko is more likely to compete with Trossard and Gabriel Martinelli. So I want your take on those three: Sesko, Martinelli, Trossard. Because in my opinion, as a striker, I'm playing him ahead of any of those two because they're naturally wingers. And I'm adding a striker to that team because I know there is going to be a stupid chance that drops in the penalty area. The goalkeeper's made a mistake, and we need to pounce on it, and he will pounce on it.
It's an interesting one. Now, Martinelli, I'm not really worried about not a good season because at the beginning of the season, I predicted Martinelli to have like the most assists in the team and all that. I thought he was going to like build up on that season. Now, it would be very worrying if he has a second season like that. If he goes to the second season and, Saka develops more and then Trossard develops more and then Martinelli keeps on like missing the chances and stuff. I'd be worried. Now, a couple of reasons I would give Martinelli the pass for this season is the 2-3 injuries he's picked up this season. The one against Everton, the one against Sheffield, and another one. I think he was unlucky in terms of that because when Martinelli's fit like the previous season and consistent, maybe he needs some consistency. Maybe if he plays 5-6 games in a row and he feels like he's played well, he's going to keep on going. But if he comes back one game and doesn't play well, it kills his confidence. Another thing people have pointed out, I don't agree with part of it, but agree with part of it. I think the left side, there's been a lot of changes. Maybe that has affected him. Last season,
I 100% agree with it. I think it's been a joke.
The previous season he was playing with Zinchenko. The previous season he knew he was going to play with Zinchenko and he knew what he needed to do. And in terms of when Zinchenko goes to midfield,
this season is where you've seen Kai Havertz, who has really struggled, Declan Rice, who has really flourished, and then Julian Timber, who did well in one game and disappeared, Alexander Zinchenko, who we know can do it, but has not been trusted by the manager very much. And therefore, we've seen Jakub Kivio, who is like just tucking into a back three.
Yeah, so that's why I usually don't compare him with Saka because Saka has Ben White and Odegaard on that side. Yeah. Incredible and very consistent players, probably two of the most consistent players in our team in terms of just appearances and everything.
Three of them.
Yeah, all of them. Now, the other side, maybe if he played with Timber, and the part where I don't agree with is people saying, oh my goodness, it's Havertz who has caused Martinelli to have a bad season. No, but the other changes, all of them, yes. Maybe playing Havertz there a couple of games, and then it was Trossard a couple of games as a number 8, and then it was Rice, and then behind him it was Kivio, it was Zinchenko, and then Tomiyasu, and then, all those changes could affect him because the previous season I saw him with Zinchenko and Jesus up front, he was flourishing, and Xhaka, he was absolutely flourishing. Another thing he does very well is when Zinchenko comes into midfield, Martinelli is one of the best you can have in terms of coming back and defending and energy, and when he loses the ball he comes back and works so hard. So that's why I give him the pass because there's still other things that he did very well in the team in terms of, because he's gotten chances this season, but his confidence was short. You've mentioned it a lot. You mentioned the one for Wolves, Chelsea ones, I think it was Crystal Palace could have even had a hat-trick in those 5-10 minutes. I think he had another chance. He could have easily had a hat-trick, but I think in terms of Martinelli, it's confidence. The season he started very well. I think he had an assist from Nketiah where he dribble like this and then got the assist against Nottingham Forest in the first game. He was very confident there, but the moment I think he felt like, Trossard is overtaking me and all that. Then the previous season he did well because Trossard came in and he started playing, and then Martinelli came back the next game. He was like, no, you're not taking my position. I'm going. And he had a very good end to the season before last season. But this season the confidence was not there.
He could have had a good ending to the season this campaign because I think during the second half of the campaign he came on against Crystal Palace and banged 2 very, very good goals. And I'm like, okay, go on, son, go and do the same. But then he got the same chances against teams that, I even have weaker goalkeepers and he did nothing.
Now, there's a couple of games where I watched with opposition fans, Chelsea game and the Man United game. And whenever Martinelli was playing whenever he has the ball, the same way I feel when Rashford has the ball for Man
Yeah,
United, he's the player. We were playing with
yeah,
Chelsea in the 5-0, and the Chelsea fan was watching the game was like, is Martinelli playing? Is Martinelli playing? So there's still a bit of fear there in terms of opposition because they know the pace and directness.
yeah.
It's not easy to get a player like that. So yes, I'm a bit worried. I'd be more worried if he had a second bad season. That is where I'd be more worried. But my hope is he's going to start next season, even if he just plays 20 games and rotates the all competitions, he still has a big impact. Because if you take Martinelli out of this team and sell him today, I think we lose something big. I think we
Yeah,
lose something big.
that,
You
that,
cannot
that
get.
is that is very true. I think he's one of the players that are unique when it comes to this Arsenal team. He's absolutely direct. Like I've seen Doku come on for Man City and the directness, and I've admired, and I'm like, "Oh, we have that in Gabriel Martinelli." But the
Yeah.
thing you've talked about him is he's a confidence player. He's more like
Mm,
that is the reason why Aaron Ramsdale is not the Arsenal goalkeeper. You cannot
mm,
be a confidence player and you're in goal, right? Because the fans are going to have a go at you. And if you make a mistake, that means you're going to have a whole 90 minutes that is actually trash. You can't be that. You need to be calmer and you need to be a little bit level-headed, to play at the top. Now, if he's a confidence player and he is going to compete with not only Trossard now, but Sesko, where do you see his chances?
Now, where he might suffer is if Arsenal sees him as an impact player. You're going
Yeah.
to come in and play against the tired players, and maybe I don't really trust in terms of starting, because especially if the plan is to have Sesko on the wing and then go through the right side and putting some crosses and Havertz and Sesko both in the box, that is where Martinelli is going to suffer if you see him more as an impact player. I don't think it's a bad thing if you're coming on for 30 minutes and then some games you're also starting, and then depending on the game you change things. So that's where he might suffer. If he starts the first 2-3 games and misses the chances, or the cross is coming in from the right side and he's missing them, or he's not really giving us what he wants in terms of getting into the right positions in terms of that, then he might suffer, and Atta might see him as an impact player just off the bench a few times. Still a very important player in our team, for sure. Compared to Trossard, now his goal output has to come back, because Trossard is
Mm,
very clinical. People have said he's
yeah,
our best finisher. One chance, one goal. So many times saved us.
yeah.
FC
This
Porto,
season, this,
Bayern
this
Munich,
season, this
Wolves.
season, I only remember. I think it was against Bournemouth and Aston Villa, where he
Mm,
struggled to put the ball in the back of the net. And I was very
mm.
disappointed when Mikel didn't play him against Bayern in the second leg when he didn't start him. I'm like, what exactly are you doing? He's just showed you he is the guy.
So in terms of finishing, is good. But Martinelli still does have some finishing. Another thing I've always said about Martinelli and Saka, there's a lot of improvement, or there's room for improvement in terms of finishing. I don't think they're the best
Mm,
finishers in the world. I mean, because people are saying one day they're going to get to the level of Salah and Mane. Salah and Mane have scored a bunch
a
of
lot of
goals.
us.
And these games are doing 5-0, 2 goals for this one, 2 goals for this one. I don't know if you would see a 3 games in a row where Saka scores a hat trick today, Martinelli goal. The next day, 2-2 for both of them. The next game,
Mm,
Martinelli scores a hat trick and Saka still scores twice. It's very hard. Yes, it depends on the build up of the team and all that. But again, they usually get those chances. So it's in terms of converting. So if he has another person in terms of scoring, or he starts a couple of games and you feel like he's missing the chances, not getting in the right positions, he'd be in trouble, because Sesko and Trossard can both score. If they both score and they get chances and they score, and Sesko gives Arteta what he wants in terms of the crosses and the holder play and the pace in behind. If he comes in, does the same thing as Martinelli does in terms of pace, he'd be in trouble. Now, where he might get saved is if Trossard and Sesko play and they don't really give us defensive work,
yeah.
and Martinelli feels like I can do this
Yeah,
better.
that is one of the things I've actually thought about with Gabriel Martinelli, that he's got that ability to track back with a lot of pace and a lot of hard work, and he's so successful, by the way, in winning the ball back. But then again, you have a possibility of Arsenal signing a number 6, and then that means that left hand side could be covered by Timber and Declan Rice. Again, two of the best ball winners we have at the club right now. So that means that your ball winning abilities might be good, might be appreciated, but if there is someone who can score a hat trick in front of you, you might actually still be in trouble.
Now, yes, you're right. Now, I've seen a formation somewhere. And it's like a 4 and then diamond in midfield, and then is it diamond 4? So 4. What's the formation? No, 3 at the back. Sorry, 3 at the back, and then 4 in midfield, and then 3 up front. So that's when we have the ball, and Timber goes in midfield. So it's like Gabriel, Salib, and Ben right at the back, and then depending on who we get as the defensive midfielders on number 8, whoever we get, let's assume Rice starts as the number 6. And then Timber comes in from the left side and becomes an extra midfielder from the left side. And then Odegaard is on the right side. And then Havertz almost as a number 10 in behind the striker. And then on the left, you still play Martinelli. On the right, still play Saka. And up front, play Sesko. Now, if that is what you're going to start with the season and it works, Martinelli could be lucky if he plays well and all that. All he's going to need to do is just rotate with Trossard and not really Sesko. But if Arteta feels like, no, I'm going to get a number 6, as you've said, and number 6 comes in and Rice plays in the number 8, and that means Havertz has to start up front, and then there's no space for Sesko. He's the only going to start on the left side. It's going to be a little bit worrying. So I'm not really completely worried about him. There's a lot of things he can bring to this team. But it's a very tough one. Before both Martinelli and Jesus, I feel like it's a very tough one. We have to see. Preseason is going to help us answer a lot of these questions. When we sign Sesko, it's going to help us answer a lot of these questions. I think it's going to determine the game.
It's a bit unlucky that we're not going to have a big preseason. We might have 2, maximum 3 games in preseason. So the CONCACAF and the Euros are going
Copa
to
America,
Copa America are going to provide a bit of preseason. Now, last question for me, and this is my answer to that question. Yes. Does it start right away when he comes in? For me, my answer is yes. We will find somewhere for him to start, but I see him slowly but surely phase out of the starting 11.
No, I'm the totally opposite of that. I feel like he's not going to start. I still feel like next at the beginning, Martinelli is going to start on the left, Saka on the right, and Havertz up front. I think that will be the first lineup that you see next season. There's 2 things that matter there. The preseason and also how well I hope Martinelli does well. I know he's not a player who's going to play every single day at Brazil, but I hope he does well and he comes back with confidence. Because if he does come back with confidence, it's going to help him a lot. So I think they're going to start. Now, I'm looking at this as more of a positive than a negative. I'm hoping at the beginning of the season, if that is the lineup we start with and Sesko is on the bench, he still comes on and scores a goal or 2, and then the next game it's Trossard, and then the next game is Sesko again. We could use that formation I've told you, where we have like that back 3 and then have Rice as a number 6. And then Timber helping him out in Odegaard, and then you have Havertz basically as basically you're playing like with almost 2 strikers, with Martinelli on the left, Saka on the right, and basically Havertz and Sesko if Sesko starts, but it doesn't really affect Martinelli, but it does affect Jesus. He'll be on the bench for that one, but he's still obviously not exposed in midfield because you have Timbers coming to that midfield and Rice who's there, and that would work because Martinelli, in terms of playing a back 3, if Timber gets caught out of position, Martinelli is very good in terms of coming back.
Thank you so much for watching the Cossy Arsenal podcast. I'm Cossy with Glenn, obviously. The Cossy and Glenn podcast comes your way every single day at exactly 8 p.m. And we are also on the Glenn Kitely Everything Arsenal channel at exactly midday. Those 2 premieres are your best pieces of content this transfer window, and we are going to deliver on every single daily basis. Now, we are just 2,000 subscribers away from getting to 80,000 subscribers. I and Glenn have built this from a very, 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 very dark time, but it has been you guys. And if you can do us a favor, hit that subscribe button on the podcast. Go over to Glenn's channel. You can just click his title in the title and go there over his channel. Subscribe is up to 16. He wants to get to 20, and we should be able to get him there before the transfer window ends. Appreciate you. We're going to speak to you right in the next one. Glenn, thank you so much for coming on, bro. And Sesko is it's definitely a topic we have to talk about now for quite the next few hours.
It's a big one. I can't wait to see what he does at the Euros.
Yeah, surely.